welcome back to another Reading with Toussaint. Today's story, The Epic Run of the Engine from 97, read to you and written by Toussaint Morrison.
Chapter 1, Between Peaks. January 2012. It's not starting, and usually I'd say it's better that way. But having a hankering for near-death circumstance, danger, and disaster, I'm finding it irresistible to gamble the voyage versus the tow bill. Honda's in a dark place, but if I'm able to drive it 30 miles outside of town, it will rest in the best care and hands it has ever been held. So now, as I sit in Honda at the bottom of a hill looking out onto a landscape of farm upon farm, it is not starting. I'm sitting in a street-illegal vehicle as the sun sinks beyond view, in tandem with the temperature now sinking below zero, and it's not starting. Halford, from the Garage of God, has been taking care of Honda for the past several days. However, what he doesn't understand is that he's been car-sitting a legendary piece of machinery that is either going to change the game of my life or become the final blow that strikes me from riding the fence into a base jump plummeting free fall towards certain death and outlawed lifestyle. Was already living an outlawed lifestyle before Honda wound up in Halford's garage. But there was a higher probability, a more wide-open chance towards surfacing out of all the circle running in cold weather towards a means of efficient progress in life, you know? I've always been in the process of getting somewhere, and even in the worst moments, when I felt I was getting absolutely nowhere, the events, by a string, still turned out to be some of the most productive moments in my life. All the doubt and down-and-out thinking never bore a truth. But, and before a big but, now is different. No mistake can be made that if Honda and I don't make it out of this one, we will both truly be, as they say, fucked. There's no sugarcoating it. If Honda is able to start, then it will have to make it from Minneapolis to Carver County today. A piece of me wants Honda to die right here, never start again. Eliminating the scenario from my mind to possibly fork over $500 for a tow to move it to Carver County. Suddenly, my conscience interrupted the conversation betwixt the lesser voices in my head to say, $500 damn dollars, man? Do you know how far Carver County is from here? 30 daunting miles of you hemorrhaging U.S. currency out of your already empty pockets? Damn it, Toussaint. I sometimes wish you'd shut down your right brain for just a second. A damn second, man, and fire up the logic for once in your life and think some sense between the both of us. We damn well know a tow is not an option, let alone a new pair of pants for brokenness you admit already. For Christ's sakes, I'm sorry. I just get worked up. I'll be quiet now. A little scorned from my conscience, I do my best to maintain a positive attitude moving forward. At Halford's Garage of God, there is no such thing as death. Halford resuscitates the mechanically failed to lives of miraculous maneuvering machines their owners never thought could exist again. And now, stranded here at the valley of a rural road in Carver County next to a seemingly dead Honda, I request you check your watch as it spins backwards to how this all began. Chapter 2. An hour ago in Minneapolis. So I tell them you can't put beams up there. You got to put pillars in the goddamn building to keep that ceiling up. The beams are going to destroy the goddamn cement. So 2 layers, 1 contractor, and 3 Latinos later, they figure out what I'd been telling them from the start. And they, oh, hey, be with you in a sec. Gallagher turns to me to interrupt his phone call. It smells of oil, gas, and dirt in the garage. I step outside to view Honda in the lot, where a gentleman, one of Gallagher's mechanics, meets me with the key. He speaks very little English, but enough to guide me through what needs to be done to get it going. I turn the key. It doesn't start. Okay, wait. Gallagher's mechanics removes a filter, grabs a spray can of some kind of chemical engine starter, and sprays it down the tube that held the filter. Okay, go, he says. Still no start from the engine, with one of 4 cylinders pumping. Shit, he shouted. Okay, wait. He sprays the can again and reaches deep into the left side of the hood as if to massage the heart of the beast back to life. I presume the spray can to be some sort of last-ditch effort for revival, a final stand like shocking yourself back to life and left for dead. There's no long-term future in it for anyone, but you reach as hard and high as you can for just a handful of short-lived seconds on Earth before unveiling the mystery of the great hereafter. And alas, this mechanic is reaching for it, reaching somewhere in the underbelly of a failing machine. "Okay, go!" he shouts just after pulling his arm from the hood of the last-ditch effort mobile. She starts. Honda slows to a putter, that of a ticking death clock that's just begun its course. There is no stopping it. There is no turning back. The run must begin. However, there's one catch. "Don't turn it off," yells the mechanic. To communicate my understanding to him, I nod my head with a nervous look as if taking off into a World War II dogfight via fighter plane. "Don't turn it off," echoes in my head as I barrel down Nicollet Avenue. Glancing in the rearview mirror, I search for any nearby police cars. My heart is beating like a prison escapist, overjoyed at the basics of mobility after having been caged for God knows how long and petrified to near cardiac arrest, suffocating in paranoia of being caged again. This time, the cage will be different. Very different. Honda's registration was revoked a week ago for an overdue ticket I received several months ago. Having called the Department of Public Safety in St. Paul to resolve the matter, I was told to fax them my car insurance information. After faxing the information and paying the ticket, I called them again to make sure they'd received everything. No dice, no dial tone, no nothing. Before arriving to work, during my lunch break, during work, I've tried calling the Department of Public Safety back and haven't gotten anything more than a busy tone. Phone's off the hook or the damn building shut down the day after I was able to get a hold of them. So, for the moment, I hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Side note, luck in relation to cars has never swung my way, so assuming the vehicle's illegal is the safest bet I can make. The first time I was pulled over by a cop, I was taken out of the car, frisked up and down, my car was searched, and I sat in the back of a squad car for 30 minutes. I was 17 years old at the time. When the officer returned after finding nothing but my mother's belongings in the vehicle, he wrote me a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. Hell, I thought it was the standard procedure to seat someone in the back of a squad car, but after telling my mother what happened, she snapped in outrage toward the cops. Since then, I've never really gotten into a bond of solid trust for the motives and intent of police officers. Would have that trust broken down the road, and in the end, would lead to now animosity, a fear of being arrested for nothing more than an officer's personal hang-ups, and a wanting to spit on the hood of every cop car for the ever-widening gap of disparity between people of color and white people in the eyes of the law. Whatever the case may be, Honda and I are more than worthy of being pulled over. Honda being towed to the scrap heap and me being fined till 2020. Now, with the tank a tenth of the way full, me having to get to the bathroom, say TMI here, before making a 30-minute voyage and the sunlight quickly fading, I was beginning to get nervous. I'd never filled a tank of gas while the car was running, but I couldn't shut it down. The only chance I had of making it to Carver County was with the engine running without brake and evading the cops. Chapter 3. The Run. If I can convince myself I only feel like I have to use the bathroom, but actually do not, I can buy time to get this car to my house before I have to actually leave it running in the middle of the street while I dash to a gas station. My conscience checked in once again. You idiot. Go to the gas station, fill the tank while it's running, and use the bathroom there. Genius. I make a dash for the nearest gas station. Honda and I barrel down Nicollet Avenue, sweating, eyeing down the streets, watching out for cop cars. Whether or not the car is legal at this moment isn't important. What's palpable is the feeling of it being street legal. I called that damn Department of Public Safety at least a dozen times to make sure they cleared that ticket about the thing with the thing. Christ. Honda's destiny either lay with the law in a greasy scrap heap of broken dreams or in the hands of the one man that's never cared more for a machine than itself. Me. Scratch! Swinging a hard loop into an ambiguous gas station at the end of Nicollet just before 46th, I kept the engine on and filled the tank like a potential gas and go. Either I look sketchy or I just feel sketchy. I needed to turn my brain off and go into a state of bellicose, or what professional baseball player Nigel Williams has coined as beast mode. Nothing matters. Nothing is real. No one is watching except for you. Go, man, go. I dig out $10 from the depths of my debit card and peel out of the Nicollet Avenue station, still feeling weight of a ticking death clock growing heavier inside of my chest. I whipped the ride to my house, escaped the car at stuntman speed, sprinted toward the door, made sure to leave all my valuables at my house and not in the car. If this thing were to get pulled over and my plates were actually not legal, then everything would hang in jeopardy. I can't have that. Can't risk the backpack, the mini HD, the camera, the theater notes from past college classes that remain internally in the back seat. Everything must go. Skrrr! We're back on the streets, running through residential areas at breakneck speed, 40 miles per hour, and soon coming to a halt. To continue, I had to make a right on Cedar. Honda wasn't in shape to make turns as sharp as a right on a city block. Maybe a left, but not a right. You had to access the acceleration, not push it. She bubbled once or twice, giving way to a potential stall out in the middle of the street, but saved by a steady soft foot on the gas. Once the car got straight, we were kosher. Cedar leapt onto 62, which connected to an obscure main highway, which connected to a dirt road. I wouldn't settle for being pulled over by the fuzz on 62. It'd just be too much. The traffic is always racing the road. Rush hour is a pestilence to the soul when caught in the gridlock of it, and the police surveying the area would be merciless. They would make example of me, entertainment of me, and soon the end of me. Ever driving on the road again, let alone Honda. Multiple scenarios swept through my imagination. Honda giving out while passing someone, decreasing speed, resulting in a dozen-car pileup of murderous collisions. A cop signaling us to pull over while I give the finger and mouth, go fuck your mother, or an obscenity which soon turns into an all-out manhunt. And finally, the simple occasion of stalling out and having to buy out a $300 taxi ride back to Minneapolis, abandoning Honda for good, forever. NASCAR racer Brad Keselowski put it best. It's not about the fastest car in the race. It's about the man who refuses to lose. I've refused so long with this car that one could call it a delusional state of cemented denial. Had I put too much at stake for a simple car? Have I been so blind that nothing could be salvaged for the life of this machine in the end? Would I condemn myself to the ranks of fuck up for life sheerly over the pride of having Honda? The answer is an undoubted, ambitious, fearless 7-mile stare into your soul. Yes. Manhandling Cedar on a 62, and then onto the obscure stretch of highway that would soon prove the nail in the coffin, I passed a police car and nearly shat my pants after realizing I had done so. My anxiety with the fuzz lay upon a news report I'd once watched about a device atop squad cars that automatically read a barcode on every license plate they come into a 20 to 30 foot radius of. It just reeks of Terminator, in my opinion, the sizing up of every moving machine on the streets you come into contact with. The sun was getting low. One of the headlights was out. If there wasn't enough reason to already pull over the moving mechanical death trap, I couldn't have this thing on the road at night. Pulling up to a gravel road, the highway trek was finished, and then the damn thing stalled. Taking the short baby right turn onto the gravel, I had gotten pretentious with the accomplishing the length of the highway trip and smashed the turn too hard. The engine bubbled, and then died. Cursing the roof of Honda would do no good. And so I dared to slowly rev the engine back to life and take the curvaceous country road somewhat resembling Mario World. It was only a few miles to Halford's Garage of God. Hugging soft twists, curves, and dips in the road, Honda and I proceeded down a hill that ascended back uphill. Thinking nothing of it, I caressed the pedal going into the uphill. She stopped again. And was not starting. And that brings us to right where this story began, at the bowl of a gravel road between previous descent and forthcoming ascension. One could see it as a rock bottom of sorts. Honda and I traveled downhill, and now do not have the engine to make it uphill. We're fucked. At best, I could have Halford concoct some sort of makeshift tow truck from his garage of wonders, but I doubt the kid's even home. Matter of fact, I'm damn sure he's not home, as he texted me that information earlier today, and that I should leave the key to the car with his father. Chapter 4. View from the grave. The sun almost gone. I stepped out of the car. Madness, I whispered to myself. Just wrapping up employment at the school for my final one-on-one paraprofessional job. This would be the end of mobility for me for some time. I'd accept it, just not now. I'll accept it, just not like this. I lean against the passenger window of Honda, stare at that big, beautiful ball of insatiable fire in the sky. Christ, whatever that thing is made of is as stubborn as hell. And perhaps me. And I'm used to it now. Engines crapping out, dice rolling just short of 7, things just missing the bar by enough to break your heart. If you're into that sort of thing, that thing of expecting everything to piece out like perfectly cut puzzles, boxed for children to develop conditioned joy into looking at a pile of misshapen cardboard and know that they'll all have a place. And the world just don't work like that. So now is one of those times. I get to relish in the reminder that things don't always work out the way you want them to. And strangely as it sounds, but shouldn't, I'd rather it be that way. I need that reminder every now and then. I'm drawing breath on earth and I'm left to a beautiful view of the sun now half sunken into a horizon of bright pinks and oranges. A few important moments of reflection pass. I re-enter the car to what feels a reconciliation. Slightly, gently, slowly, I rev the engine in parallel with the pressing of the pedal. They cooperate for a slim window of opportunity to push the beast uphill without any sweat, cursing bloody murder into the air or physical grown man-child fists. Honda ascends the gravel peak and continues on. A half-mile later, we arrive to the empire of resurrected engines. Halford's father exited the house as if he'd seen me coming 5 miles down the road, felt me on the farm's presence, or just heard the shitty rattle of the engine pull into the gravel driveway. "All right. What's the case here?" Halford's father spoke as I exited the car. A glint of sarcasm, humor, and experience all traced thinly beneath his statement. I smiled at the mere sight of the man. Father of Halford has a pace and patience to every movement and word his body exerts that can put you at an ease in any given circumstance. The level of calm in this man could crush your sense of urgency upon arrival. "Well, we're going to put a new engine in it." The only rational answer I could give. "Halford know you're bringing it?" He checks. "Oh yeah, Halford knows. It'll be an overhaul situation." I return and smile. "All right. Well, good luck with it," he says. I hop a ride from a friend back to Minneapolis from Carver County. Now, carless, Honda hanging in the balance. The one thing that is certain is that the engine from 97 is no more. I don't know if there's a soul to the car, and if there is, then a piece of it will definitely be replaced with another's. If there be any resolve in its afterlife, let it be known that its final run was nothing short of epic. And that concludes our Reading with Toussaint for today. For more stories to read along or listen to, visit readingwithtoussaint.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to keep reading and write on.